Looking to enhance the appeal and performance of your gym with state-of-the-art equipment? Look no further than the Gym Administrator. Founded by Sal Corrente, professional wrestling manager, promoter, and author of the great book Bruno Sammartino, the autobiography of wrestling's living legend, available on Amazon.com, the Gym Administrator will spot you on that final rep and assist you every step of the way from purchase through installation, whether it be strength training, cardiovascular training, or performance enhancement. The Gym Administrator works with a wide array of leading vendors and suppliers, carefully selected to meet the diverse needs of your clientele. Service the way you remember it. Contact us at 914-494-1066 or visit our website at thegymadministrator.com, as well as all social media platforms. The Gym Administrator. All your fitness needs under one roof. Scan the barcode at the bottom of the screen to get started today.
Bill, obviously you know about the allegations against Vince McMahon. Were you surprised when you heard all this going on, or was it like, yeah, well, I knew this would happen eventually? What was going through your mind when you heard all these issues?
Well, I was kind of disappointed, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew that there were certain things going on. Anybody that's been in that territory, I was just disappointed that it got to that point. Uh, I'm not privy to any inside information, of course. Uh, and if it's true, it's really horrendous. I've got two daughters, and to be honest with you, I don't know what I would have done or what I would do. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm very disappointed and disheartened. And there's a situation where a guy's got more money than he knows what to do with. Uh, you don't have to do stuff like that.
Bill, did you ever see, not to harp on it, but I am curious, and it is you after all we're talking to. Did you ever see anything that would suggest that Vince could be capable of some of the things we've heard with this most recent thing? Was there any signs? Did you see anything that would suggest that he could be this way?
No, to be honest with you, Barry and I were in there, uh, and we didn't really associate with too many people. We'd make the towns, we'd uh, get ready for the next town, catch the flight, go to the gym, check the hotel, night to night to night. And Vince wasn't at the matches. Only time we ever saw Vince was at the TV tapings, and he was busy at that time. So, I mean, I couldn't have even imagined stuff going on like that because it's not my makeup, it's not in Barry's makeup. Uh, we were on the road, we were trying to make money. So when we came home, we could look around the house and say, "This is what I'm on the road for. This is what I'm sacrificing for." All the stuff that goes on at night with a lot of the other guys. I mean, man, we just didn't do it. We were boring.
No, you were smart. You were smart.
To go back a little bit because you say something very interesting that I didn't know. So Vince Sr. approaches you. At this point, do you know that Vince Jr. is going to take the company? Or because I would think Vince Jr. was going to come to you and say, "Hey, we're going to give you the strap," but Vince Sr. came to you. What was the dynamic back then?
The dynamic was that Vince Jr., how can I say this? We were in Madison Square Garden, and Jr. wanted me to do something in a match where I was going to lose my mask.
Wow.
And I didn't feel comfortable with that because, I had this outstanding contract with Japan as the mass superstar. And all I had to do, literally all I had to do, was get on the phone, speak with Inoki, and I'd be there the next day if possible. So Vince wanted me to lose this match was a stipulation. And my wife that day, I called home that day, ironically, and she said, "What is the stipulation that you have tonight in the match?" I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Pat Patterson was on TV and said, if you lose the match, you're taking your mask off." I said, I didn't say that. So that's what transpired, supposedly. So when I was told to finish, I said, well, I'd rather not do that. And Vince Sr. was down at the other end of the hallway. And Vince Jr. said, well, you work for me. I said, well, I'd like to talk to your dad. He said, you work for me. So I went down and I said, Mr. McMahon, can I talk to you? I told him what had transpired. He said, you're not doing that. He said, you work for me. So I walked back up and there's Vince standing in the hallway with his arms folded very arrogantly. And he said, well, what'd my dad say? I said, your dad said I work for him, not you.
Oof.
So my time there was on pins and needles.
Wow. And you still come back and be part of Demolition. Wow, that's weird. Okay.
Well, I came back first as a favor to Andre as the Machines, and then come back as Demolition. But I've had a real pins and needles relationship with Vince. I mean, I respect Vince for what he did with the business. He changed the business drastically and very successfully. But that may have been a point of contention with him. But it was business for me. I mean, I think if he were on my side, he would have done the same thing. He's protecting his livelihood. You know, if I'm not in New York, if I'm in New York working without a mask as a mask superstar, what the hell am I going to do in Japan? I was making more money in Japan.
So, Bill, let me ask you this: so you leave the WWE, you move on to Japan, and now Vince is making this takeover. What are your thoughts as you're traveling and you're hearing? You've worked now for Vince Jr. You know that he could be very tough to work with. Uh, what are your feelings when you hear he's trying to make this takeover and he's starting something called WrestleMania? What were your thoughts, and did you just think, oh, this is ridiculous, this isn't going to work?
No, it was just another event. You know, until you WrestleMania is a big pay-per-view. Uh, if you're in the business, it's just another match in front of a lot of people, which makes it easier. And you hope that you get paid from not only the house seats, but also the people that bought it on the video. But I had been in larger crowds in Japan and in India, so the size of the crowd wasn't the alarming part. And it's not till later on you realize how it's grown to what it is today. It's like the Super Bowl now. But I think the guys, once the whistle blows at Super Bowl, those guys don't give a shit. They're playing football.
Mm.
And it's just like the wrestling. Once the bell rings, you're doing the best you can do that time, and you hope you have a good match.
Now, do you have a regret, like, that you wish maybe you would have hung in there and been part of WrestleMania 1, or you're happy with the way it turned out?
Well, we weren't even in WrestleMania 1.
No, what I'm
We
saying
weren't we
is
weren't scheduled to be on it.
you left, right? You left. If you would have taken the mask off, I'm assuming you still would have hung in there with the WWE. They were putting you in, I don't know what kind of character they were going to move you towards, but
Well,
you were
here's
close.
the character that Senior wanted me when he first brought me in. He meets me in Japan. They used to have two tournaments. Uh, Madison Square Garden singles tournament, Madison Square Garden tag team. So he would come over, both of them, at the end the last week, and present the trophy to the winning team or the individual. And of course, Andre was there. And Senior asked me if I would be interested in coming into New York. And to be honest with you, I really hadn't had any interest. I enjoyed the South. I enjoyed Mid-Atlantic. I enjoyed Georgia. I was home every night. So he asked me and he said, I'd like you to bring you in. And he says, I got an idea. I said, what would that be? He said, I want you to be a cowboy. I said, a cowboy? why would you want me to be a cowboy? He says, well, we need cowboys. We need a cowboy. And at that time, they had I don't know if you guys remember, if you had a mask on in the New York territory at that time, you couldn't wear the mask in the gardens. You had to wear the mask, but it had to be cut out.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking, one thing I said, Mr. McMahon, I'm not a cowboy. I've ridden a couple horses, but I'm not a cowboy. The first thing I would think of is if I go into the ring, how many cowboys are in the building? They're all going to know I'm phony. I said, what attracted you to me coming in anyway? He said, well, the way you work, the way you handle yourself, the way you do things in the ring. I said, I do that as my superstar. As a cowboy, I'd be able to do shit. So he said, you might